Rainn Wilson, thank you so much for inviting us into your home and for agreeing to do this podcast.
Thanks for coming to my home, and thanks for having me on your podcast.
Absolutely, absolutely. So first of all, I want to begin with the question to end all questions.
Oh, okay. Let's dive right in.
Which kind of bear is best?
Wow. These kind of deep questions. I tell you
Super
what.
deep.
You know what
I
we
wanted
should
to start
do?
and really just throw you off.
Why don't we have our conversation and then come back to it at the end?
Perfect.
Once I'm warmed up.
Perfect.
And then we can find. That way, also, we won't lose listeners. Do you know what I mean? Because some of them might tune in for 5 minutes and then.
If that's you tuning in just for that, you're a loser.
Shame on you.
Shame on you. No, so let's get right into it. We have a lot to accomplish. I have so much that I want to talk to you about, and I'll try not to talk your ear off. I want you to talk my ear off. Let's talk about some of the ways that you're impacting the world, because most people know you from The Office or your movies and so on and so forth, but you've chosen to allot a good chunk of your time in life to influencing other people, to affecting the world for good, and for being a force of good. So you've been in all these movies, you've done all these things, and yet you've done that. Why? Like, what's the impetus behind not just living a very self-serving life and enjoying all the things that you've built?
Well, those are very kind things to say. I don't know at the end of the day if I have made any difference whatsoever in the world, but thanks for saying that. You know, I'm going to give you two answers.
Okay.
So, number one answer is something I've been thinking about a lot recently, and that is I was having a conversation with a group of friends a couple years back, and this one friend of mine said, we were just talking about life and the philosophy of life and whatnot, and he said, here's my philosophy. Just don't be an asshole. He was like, don't be an asshole. And everyone was like, yeah, that's good. Yeah. And he's like, that's what you do. Just live your life. Don't be an asshole, and everything's fine. And I thought about it, and people were talking about it, and I waited, and I was like, wait a second here. I don't know that that's enough anymore. I don't know that that's enough. I think that might have been enough maybe in the 80s. Like, don't be an asshole might have been enough. And this is a very common philosophy in American and Western culture right now, is as long as you're not hurting anyone else, do whatever you want. Right. Everyone leave each other alone. Take care of yourself. Make yourself happy. Keep your family happy. And then everything will be fine. But I don't think we're there anymore. I don't think that's quite enough. I think the way the world is going right now, the different kinds of ways that the world is falling apart, is going to require more of us. So there's 7 billion people on the planet, and if everyone can start with not being an asshole, that's a good place to start. But then what's the next step beyond that? Like, to help someone else. So if you had 7 billion people on this planet and every single one of them was doing something to make the life of someone else better, then you're getting somewhere.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? And the wider you cast that net, the better, because we're tribal organisms as humans, and we want to just take care of our kids, right? We want our kids to have good lives. We want our wives and our husbands to have good lives, and then our cousins and our sisters. But can we expand what that means beyond just our immediate family and to the family of humankind? To people that are hurting, to people that are cast out, to people that are alienated, whether it's the very poor, whether it's, people of color and diverse communities that don't feel included, don't feel welcome, don't feel loved. We've got to do more than just not be assholes.
I love it. Not being an asshole, great place to start, but go beyond that, because a rising tide raises all ships. So it's great to take care of our families. That's very noble and good, but that's the least we can do. Then we go out and care for others. Figure out what our place is.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you asked me, like, why do I do this, or why is this part of my life, or why is it so important to me? And, I'm going to be really honest with you. It comes from my faith background. It comes from my religious faith background, which is I'm a member of the Baha'i faith. And if there's one most important thing in the Baha'i faith, it's creating unity and being of service to other people. And that's what Baha'is all over the world are trying to do. I don't think that one needs to be a Baha'i to do this. One doesn't need to even have a religious faith to be able to do it. But you ask me where I get my inspiration for it is the more I think about my purpose on this earth, the more I realize that it's to try and make the world a better place, try and elevate conversations, try and bring people together, try and serve the downtrodden in whatever ways I can. And the interesting thing about it is that I just feel great doing it.
Yeah.
So another part of Western culture is that we have this kind of misconception of like, okay, I want to be happy. Okay, the point of life is to be happy. Okay, let's assume that that's true, even though I don't believe it is true. So if the point of life is to be happy, how do you make yourself happy? Well, you got to take care of yourself, and you got to eat right, and go to yoga classes, and do things that you like to do, and don't let anyone push you around. And it's kind of it's very self-focused. Now, all of those things are important, but the odd thing is that the more you spend your time focusing on helping other people, it actually makes one happier.
Absolutely.
There's numbers of different, studies about happiness, and it's been obviously the focus of a lot of psychology, a lot of podcasts about happiness and whatnot. But one of the key ingredients is, oddly enough, like the more you do stuff for other people, the happier you get. It's kind of this weird kind of dichotomy.
Very much believe that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I was hoping you'd bring up the faith aspect, because I've heard you talk about that in other places. And for me, I'm a person of faith too, the Christian faith, but it's the same thing. Like, I don't get to truly live out what I say I believe unless I give myself to others. Mm-hmm. So I want to talk about SoulPancake and Lead Haiti. But before that,
Day.
Sorry.
It's quite all right.
Lead Day.
Yep.
Lead Day Haiti. What does that mean, by the way?
Lead Day is the girls that we were working with in Haiti. We asked them to help us come up with a name, and they came up with that name. And Lida means leader, so it's in Haitian Creole, Lida, and then l'idée is the idea. So it's kind of a play on words a little bit. It's kind of leader and idea.
I was going to talk about you and your growing up years first, but since we already started in there, why don't you tell us about? Let's talk about SoulPancake and Lead Haiti. Start with the Haiti project, and let us tell me, what is that about?
Sure. Well, I was working with a nonprofit actually in the Seattle area. I should introduce you. They're called Mona Foundation, and they support a lot of schools and educational initiatives all around the globe. And I was doing some fundraising for them, and kind of as I had become a celebrity, I got inundated with nonprofits wanting me to work with them or help them raise money or MC events or whatever. And so I started to give some very serious thought to well, how can I make an impact, and where do I put my energy? Right. Kittens with cancer, or what tree huggers for ferns, or whatever, so I started really enjoying working with Mona Foundation and realizing how important education was to me. I think we always start kind of really selfishly. I think a lot of times when people get involved in causes, it's because it has some selfish thing. It impacts them or their families in some way, and then someone in the family gets a terrible disease, and then
that's when they start worrying.
That's when they start really digging into, and that's fine. It's human nature, and it was the same with me, because I was so grateful for the career I've had as an actor. I'm such lucky for a big, dorky, weird-looking guy that I've been able to have this career, and it really was from these great teachers that I had, and I really believed in education and the power of education to transform people. So the Mona Foundation was doing a trip to Haiti, where it had 5 different initiatives going at the time. And so my wife and I went to Haiti. This was before the earthquake, a couple months before, and we just fell in love with the country. And talk to anyone who goes there regularly. It really gets under your skin. There's something really vital and beautiful. The culture is vibrant. The music, the art, the humor, the energy, the people are so great and warm-hearted and fun and plus, awesome. It's one of the poorest places in the world, and a little goes a long way there, and that's really something we learned that, wow, you can send a kid to school for a full year, all costs for $400.
Incredible.
And, $400 doesn't get you a whole lot in the United States in the nonprofit world, but it sure does in Haiti. So we toured the schools, fell in love with it, and then 2 months later, the hotel that we had stayed at in Port-au-Prince was just devastated. It fell down the mountainside. Everyone inside of it was killed. 300,000 people died in about a minute and a half, and just devastation beyond all imagining. And there was already devastation beyond all imagining before the earthquake. I mean, there's so many broken things about Haiti. So we, a few months after that, my wife literally got an email that said, looking for artists to go to Haiti to teach workshops with adolescent girls in the tent camps. So we're like, let's do it. So we went to the Sean Penn's tent camp. It really was Sean Penn's because he took over running this one tent city on this, on the only 9-hole golf course in Haiti. And it was filled with about 40,000 people living on it. And we did a workshop for about 50 adolescent girls in a little community center that they had built. Of course, the community center was some plywood poles and palm fronds on the top with like naked babies, chickens, and pigs literally running around through our legs as we were working in this community center. And, I was really skeptical because I was like, well, why do these girls need the arts? I mean, they need shoes and they need jobs. They need, I don't know, fresh water. Why are we teaching them poetry and drama and photography? And the transformation that these girls made over the 2-week workshop was astonishing. They came in so shy and frail and self-doubting, and they finished the stint with such pride in their work, reading their poems, doing theater games, singing songs for their parents and for the community that we brought to witness it, the final show, and they hung their artwork on the walls. And it really brought them to life and gave them a voice. And I'd never forget this one little girl went up to my wife and she said, she goes, oh, I get it. Other organizations give us shoes and they give us food, but you give us hope. And I think,
wow,
yeah, it was such a great quote. And that's when we realized we were onto something. Okay, the arts is not like it is here in the state. We're not trying to teach the arts in Haiti to make professional artists. The arts help build community. They help develop brains. They give you your voice. When you learn that your self-expression is important, that means that you're important and you're vital and your journey is important. And girls are just treated so poorly in Haiti. They do all the work, and they're so disrespected. So the incidence of sexual abuse is like 40%.
Oh gosh.
And they're just chattel, So that's when L'Idée was born. We took several years in launching it after that, and really explored where to go. And I don't want to get in. Maybe we do get into all the nitty-gritty details, but it's been a learning process, kind of helping to run and launch a nonprofit has been a big deal. But right now we're working with almost 600 girls in about 12 locations. We have a staff of 12 full-time Haitians and about another 20 part-time Haitians. We locally source food for the girls at the different locations, because you've got to be able to eat in order to learn. And for a lot of them, it's the only meal they get in a day. Here's how the poverty works in Haiti. I know I'm yakking.
No, go for it. Yeah, I want to hear this.
I'm yakking a lot. But one time we asked them, how many of you have never had breakfast? And about half the hands went up. So these are girls in their lives. You're looking at 14 and 15-year-old girls who in their entire lives have never had breakfast. They get up in the morning and they drink a cup of water, and that's it. So That's the kind of poverty we're talking about in rural Haiti.
That's crazy.
We work way out in the far reaches of rural Haiti doing arts and literacy workshops. As soon as we started doing arts, the communities really asked for literacy. They wanted the girls to learn to read. So we immediately brought that in. But we do health clinics with them, and we do scholarships for them, try and place them in schools, and a lot of community building exercise and leadership, character traits, spiritual virtues kind of work with the girls as well.
I have a million questions to ask you about that, but where can people go to learn more about that? If they want to hear, like if they want to read about us and the mission and the vision and learn more about it.
Yeah. lidehaiti.org, so L-I-D-E Haiti.org. It's all there.
Awesome.
And we're on Facebook and social media and stuff too. So follow
One of
away.
my dear friends and his family, she's a doctor, and making good money, doing super well, and they moved to Haiti last year. So she works in a clinic full time now.
Wow.
They live right among everybody. I guess his father owned an orphanage for a long time, and then they came to take it over because he's getting old. Really cool story about they probably doing really well for themselves. Doctor, physician, and they moved their whole family, 3 kids. They're all white family, and they moved over there. It's pretty incredible.
Are they homeschooling the kids, or are they going to school there?
That's a great question.
Going to French school or
I don't
something
know.
in Port-au-Prince? Yeah.
They're amazing though. That's awesome. So okay, SoulPancake.
Yeah.
A whole different animal than Lide Haiti, but also something that makes people happy. It inspires people to action. These are not just throwaway videos that are just funny cat videos on YouTube, or it doesn't seem like, I've been following SoulPancake for a long time. It doesn't seem like aimless entertainment just to entertain people. Like there's a purpose. So how did SoulPancake come about? And it's grown into this incredible thing. I mean, millions of people watching the videos all the time, following what you guys are doing. How did that happen?
Well, I know you had Golriz, Lucina, on your show
Yep.
not too long
She was
ago.
amazing.
She's awesome, and she's such a crucial part of our story. And if it wasn't for her incredible taste and sharpness and opinions, we wouldn't have what we have now. 'Cause she's our taste maker. We always run everything because she has impeccable taste on aesthetics, on word choices, on fonts, on videos. She's really, really super smart. SoulPancake. Golriz kind of told this story already, but I got well known for doing The Office, and I started having conversations with some friends about, hey, wouldn't it be cool to kind of leverage my celebrity of playing this weird character in The Office towards doing something positive in the world? And the internet at the time was just terrible. We're talking about 2007, 2008, and we thought about doing something. At first, I thought, oh, maybe I'll do a podcast or a blogcast or a vlog, or but should it be about me? And we want to build a community. So our first stab at it was a kind of a combination blog, social networking site. You could join. There was membership, and there's interaction between the members talking about life's big questions. Because I really thought that one of the most important things is for young people to be engaged in seeing their life as a journey and not just accepting either the faith of their parents or the belief systems of the culture around them, but to really have a safe space to make, we wanted to make philosophy cool again, not just something for the classroom, and spirituality something that could be, vital and explored in a cool way by young people. So, but then we found out that, long story short, we found out we were better at making videos than we were at running a website or building a website. So we kind of ditched the website and started making video content and transferred over to being pivoted, as they say, to a media company. And we were lucky to get a deal with Google to do content for their, premium YouTube channels. And so we had a budget to make a bunch of videos, and then fortunately we did a bunch of videos that really took off. And so we pivoted from chew on life's big questions to we make stuff that matters, providing kind of uplifting and inspiring entertainment in the digital world.
I watch them all the time. I love the video content. Are you? What's the trajectory? Is it continue like it is, or are there other pivots coming to make different types of content, or are you just going to keep going with what if it's not broken, keep.
Well, media business is very tricky because it changes all the time,
Sure.
especially in social media. So what was true on YouTube for us 2 to 3 years ago is no longer true. So YouTube is mostly inhabited by teens and preteens now. So, and then Facebook is by older people. So we've been doing
Which is
more.
a weird switch, but yeah.
Yeah, and we've been doing more of Facebook, which started a Snapchat channel. That's always going to be our playground, is short form digital content. But we've been doing a lot more in television and selling some television pilots right now, and trying to branch out there. We were recently acquired by Participant Media, which is this fantastic media company founded by Jeff Skoll, who's a billionaire guy who co-founded eBay. And he wants to they have a mission as well. So they're an entertainment company with a mission, same as us. And that is to, engage audiences toward social action, positive social action. And it's been a great marriage so far. We were purchased by them about 3 or 4 months ago. And so we're kind of their digital arm. So where is it going? More television, probably. And we'll see how the landscape changes. More stuff on Facebook probably, and who knows, there's going to be other platforms that spring up all the time. You just never know. It's ever changing.
Yeah. Can we talk about your early years for a couple minutes?
Okay.
I would love. So I'm always interested to hear about the early years, because I think those, in early years, whatever that means, like just your upbringing, because I think those have a big part in making us who we are today.
Mm-hmm.
If your parents or your family was different, you might not care about the things that you do. So give us the quick survey of Rainn Wilson growing up. What was your family like? And were there any things that happened that made you, maybe it's a faith thing, but were there any things that happened that made you really care about people?
No, I don't give a shit about people.
Yeah, basically.
So, I wrote a book that came out last year, The Bassoon King, that kind of goes more into detail in a more comedic way into my upbringing. But, it was this weird dichotomy. I grew up in a family of Bahá'ís, so we were peace-loving, praying and meditating, reading from various religious faiths. The Baha'i faith basically believes that all religions are one religion. They all come from one God, and that they're all different kind of facets of one kind of eternal faith or changeless faith that comes from God, that gets renewed or refreshed by these divine spiritual teachers. And so as Baha'is, we would read the Bible. We would read the Quran. We would read the writings of the Buddha, and embrace all of these teachings as our own. And I grew up believing that all the human race is one beautiful, diverse flower garden, and that men and women were equal, that science and religion were two wings of a bird, that they should live in harmony. Yeah. So all these beautiful teachings I grew up with, and I was this nerdy kid in suburban Seattle, basically. But at the same time, my home life was not so great, and my parents were very unhappily married. And so it was this weird thing where there was a lot of talk about love, but there was not a lot of actual love in the household, which is a very freaky mind trip.
Sure.
It's not something you ever want to perpetrate on a child, where you have kind of a loveless household, but then you're talking about love all the time. Yeah. You're not actualizing it. So that messed me up. And as soon as I went to college, my parents got a divorce. I mean, literally, my plane landed in Boston.
They were almost waiting until kids were...
Yeah. Exactly. And I was the only child, but I got to Boston and to go to Tufts University, and then boom, my parents got a divorce. And then that's when I really rejected the faith that I grew up in, and I tossed it aside. I didn't want anything to do with God and morality, and religion was just filled with such hypocrisy, and I think in a way I was kind of rebelling against my parents' own hypocrisy. and I moved to New York City, and I just wanted to be an artist. I just wanted to be a bohemian. I wanted to, you know, live in the village and make
What kind
theater.
of art?
I ended up going to NYU to go to theater school.
Okay,
So
yep.
I wanted to be a theater actor and do like Chekhov plays that would blow people's minds and change their lives and whatnot. And, you know, basically what happened was it wasn't working for me. And I got really unhappy. And I was living my dream. This was my dream come true, was to be a bohemian artist in New York City. And I was living that dream, and yet I was really unhappy. So I was that was an interesting conundrum to be in. It just didn't make any sense to me. It's like, how can I be unhappy? How can I be unhappy? This doesn't make sense. I'm acting with great directors. I have an agent. I'm going around New York and auditioning. I wasn't that successful, but I was working.
Sure.
And that's what started kind of I skipped a lot of my childhood. I know I just jumped into young adulthood, but we can go back to childhood too. We got to get back to that bear question.
Eventually. We'll do that right before we wrap up. You tell the parts of the story that you think are relevant to,
Yeah, so that's when I went kind of back on what I would call a spiritual journey. People can call it a philosophical journey. It's just like, what is my life about? You know, what is really important? Is there meaning? Is there a purpose here? Or are we a random assortment of molecules? You know, where do I put my focus? And that kind of led me back to the Baha'i faith in my 30s. And but even then, like I love that you're doing this, like, Let's Give a Damn podcast, because I still didn't give a damn. I was still pretty much a selfish asshole for most of my 20s and 30s. And, you know, frankly, a good part of my 40s too, where I just was focused on myself and my career. I just wanted to, I wouldn't say I never wanted to be famous, but I wanted to be successful and make money and have people like me. So I was very selfishly oriented for a long, long time. You know, finally, I think when some of the spiritual lessons of my faith kind of sunk in, that's when I started to kind of give a damn. This is just my own story, by the way. I mean, I am so inspired by when I see young people really giving a damn, trying to make a difference in the world, and they're just doing it because they have to, you know, they have compassion for someone who's suffering. They see an injustice in the world, and they just jump to try and fight it. I think that's really inspiring. And I know I'm just yakking away, but
go for it.
I want to say this. This is another thing I've been thinking about since Trump got elected. You know, we live in a culture of protest. So there's some law we don't like. It's like, oh, transgender kids can't use the bathrooms now. Like, I hate that law. Oh, how dare they have that law? Ah, I hate that law. Ah, it's unjust. Ah. Or there's some other, you know, shooting of an innocent black kid, and like, I hate the way the cops are racist and the institutionalized racism. I protest that, and there's a law passed, or, you know, there's climate change. You know, coal companies get to dump their crap into a stream. Like, how dare they pass that law? And protest is super important and has played a tremendous role in the history of our country. And the biggest changes have come through large social movements of protest. So I don't want to downplay them at all, but it's not enough to protest.
100%.
You've got to build something. You've got to build something as an alternative to what you're protesting. You can't just wait for the next injustice to come up and then scream about it and get your friends and protest and go online and start a website and raise some money or give some money to the ACLU or whatever. Like, that's not enough. You have to build. I'm not going to say what it is to build something, but you have to create a positive alternative. You've got to create a way to heal people and bring people together, of some kind of platform. So I think that's super important.
That's huge. It's the reason I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Is to help people get past the angry tweeting or the the raising the fist. If we do that, that's fine. But if we do that and don't figure out what our thing is, what's our contribution to the world, then it's all. I don't really care that you're upset about that thing, because it's not really causing you to act. It's not really causing you to create something that's going to actually change that someday. So if you're mad about the kid that got shot by the police, what are you going to do about it? Are you just going to tweet about it, or are you going to go mentor? Or are you going to go be an agent of change in that area, in that arena? Because anybody can get on here, and Twitter is not fun anymore, dude.
No,
it's
not.
And I'm part of the not fun.
I tweeted the other day. I said Twitter should be renamed Shouter. It's
it's not tweeting anymore.
Yeah,
it's just angry, all caps, starting from our commander in chief all the way down. It's just we're all just shouting on there and getting mad at each other, retweeting, the latest, and then giving our comment or our commentary on top of that. And so I love that.
And even larger in like doing something about that thing that you care about, like actively trying to create a world where, God, I just want to go back to the hippie movement where all you need is love. Like just go back to just love. Like we need justice and love at the same time. We need social justice and we need incredible love at the same time. How do you build that across all areas in your life? In a conscious way, and
it's hard as hell, and most people give up before they get to that place.
Yeah, it's
so then they just
hard.
stay in the justice, and never get to the no. It's actually a beautiful marriage with love.
Yeah.
Like
do you see some young people succeeding in this way? Stumped you.
Not enough.
Uh-huh.
I'll be honest. Last couple of years, my family and I have been vagabonds traveling around, so we haven't had a community of people where we can observe this stuff. We've been trying to do our thing, like as we're out and about. I don't see enough. Maybe it was the areas of the country I was in, Pacific Northwest. I don't know. I see a lot in the 20 to 30 range, but teenagers, they're out there. You just said they were.
Yeah.
I mean, I read an article the other day, a 14-year-old kid starting an entrepreneur center, like social entrepreneurship, and he's 14. I don't know that kid, but it's happening.
Right.
It's happening. I love it. The Let's Give a Damn family, it's growing, and they're a passionate group of people that want to change the world. Many of them don't know where to start. Many of them have an idea down on paper, but never go from paper to action. They give up before then and just keep binge watching the latest show on Netflix or Hulu or whatever. What are some practical steps, practical pieces of advice for them to, like, this is ground zero. They're starting out. They've got an idea. They're figuring out they've got a people that they want to go reach, a thing they want to go reach, a place they want to go impact, but they don't know how to actually get there. They've got the job and kids and student debt they're paying off, whatever the case may be. What would be some, just out of your experience in life, some practical ways they can just get going?
Boy, that's such a good question, and I really don't have an answer. I just want to, just going back half a step. I've one of the things I shared that earlier, though, one of the things I really just feel bad about in my life is like I was so selfish in my 20s and 30s and just career obsessed and self-obsessed and narcissistic, and I still deal with that stuff, don't get me wrong, but I really wish that I had started younger. I wish that there had been podcasts like this when I was younger to listen to. But I think that it is finding that thing that you're most passionate about and then go into what I would call a humble posture of learning about it. So a lot of times people will be like, oh, I really don't like this social injustice. I don't like, though, women get paid 80 cents on the dollar to men. I don't like that. And so immediately they start a website or a letter writing campaign or something like that, but they don't really understand the issue. And I think to go into a humble posture of learning
that's huge.
To go to the organizations that you admire, intern there, communicate with people, read the books, watch the TED Talks, like really try and steep yourself in the and the vocabulary and see where the need is and where the greatest impact can be made. But I think a lot of people skip that step. They go right to action, and that's admirable, dude. I mean, there's been so many great action that has been taken by people. You're so glad they went right to action and didn't kind of stop. But you can do both. It's kind of a false dichotomy. You can do some action, but you can also do some learning, but you've got to be really humble about it. When we went to Haiti, one of the biggest mistakes is, white guys going into other countries thinking that they know the best way and kind of starting something and saying, oh, this is the best way to do something. And it's a kind of a imperialism that's really gross. It's even like Oprah just going into Africa and just starting her school, just like building a school and starting a school. Like, you need to learn what people need and learn on the ground. So we spent 2 years before we did anything, where our executive director just traveled around Haiti, just saw what was going on in terms of girls and the arts and education and literacy, went to every province in Haiti and saw what was happening and met with people. And we just tried to really learn. And then one of the things we came up with was like, we're not going to work in Port-au-Prince because that's where all the aid goes, is to the big capital city. We're going to work out in the rural areas that need support. And we're never going to go in and just start something. We have to be invited, and we have to partner with a local organization. And that has made all the difference. The reason that we've been able to grow to working with 600 girls is because a school or an educational initiative or a church or a nonprofit says, hey, we've got all these girls hanging out. They don't have anything. Would you come do one of your programs with us?
Love it.
And so then we feel, and then we're like, okay, we will, but we need your help in this way. We need you to get the girls and notate who's coming and give us a space and put us in touch with cooks and food providers and, help us with this and that and that. And so then we're working side by side with Haitians, and we become more humble as an organization. What do the Haitians need, and where do they need us? We're not going to ever go in and tell anyone what they need.
Patience is what I hear. I hear patience and a posture of learning, like just taking it slow, really listening to what the needs are versus what we think the need is.
Yeah.
Love that. I love that. Well, I think we're going to begin to wrap up here. I have a couple more questions. Before I ask those last questions, I want to just take a moment to honor you. I'm really grateful for the ways that you are. I know, at the beginning you were trying to defer it and like, I don't know that I've actually done, that much. It takes all of us using our platforms and our influence. And you have a lot of platform and influence. And you could be using that like a number of other, any number of people out there, asshole celebrities, that are just, you see them with their, whatever, their flashy Instagrams and their flashy cars and flashy houses and excessive amounts of vacations and in selfish time. And you're, sure, you have whatever. I'm sure you take vacations and you have time for Rainn and the family. But you've decided to give a large chunk of your life, and I'm sure it'll keep, I imagine it's going to keep increasing and growing, to help other people, to help these amazing people in Haiti that with arts, something that the thing I love about it is that I've worked in the nonprofit world for almost 15 years and I've been all over the world. I've seen these things, and we come in, the white man, the Westerners come in with our preconceived idea, going back to your last point about what we think they need. And we give that to them. They need food, they need clothes. And we forget that they also need to be educated, that if they're going to make it out of this life that they currently have, they need this to be developed and they need to have hope, right?
Yeah. Well, education is empowerment. So education is not about handouts. And we're kind of past the handouts. So, in disaster relief, handouts are important, but handouts doesn't help anybody grow and move forward. So, yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah. So,
but let's stop saluting me for a minute.
Fine.
I was fortunate in so many ways that I had a couple of good ideas and some amazing collaborators. And
sure,
I've collaborated on Lead Day Haiti. Honestly, it's with my wife, and we did it together with our friend, Dr. Catherine Adams, and my wife's the one who's done the bulk of the work, and Dr. Catherine Adams has moved literally from a beach house in Malibu to Haiti, where she's lived for the last 3.5 years.
It's amazing.
And I've just been I would say that's another piece of advice is like, don't do it alone. Like,
There you go.
find a collaboration, like find that community of people. You know, it was finding those people, Golries and Shabnam and Devin, who started SoulPancake with me, that this amazing team and a shared sense of vision and purpose. And you know, we're wired to be social beings as humans. Humans. I was just reading this book called *Sapiens* by this I can't remember the guy's name. This Israeli writer, so good. But here, I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, do it.
Boom. Wait a minute. *Sapien*, Yuval Noah Harari.
Okay.
And then I just turned. I don't know why. My audiobook just started playing. That's so weird. So it talks about how humans would have died if we weren't social, because the way that our women of the species give birth, a woman can't have 3 babies and then also get enough food for them. Do you know what I mean? On her own. We need a tribe to work together as a tribe. We would have perished if we didn't have tribes and families and aunts and uncles helping, and it takes a village, and the men hunting and the grandmothers watching the infants and the women harvesting, and the social bonds between us. Like, we are a social creature. We're hardwired to work together.
Yeah.
So we can find new ways to work together and collaborate.
I think I'm going to add or modify that question a little bit, because this is like the 3rd interview in a row. I interviewed Britt Gilmore from the Giving Keys this morning in the downtown LA. And it was the same thing. Like, she turned this question a little bit and started talking about the amazing people around. And it's true. Like, no person that's ever been successful hasn't had amazing people around them that contribute, because we all fail, right? We've got our lane that we run in and that we do really well in, but there's a million other parts to that we just we don't have eyes on.
Yep.
And we need those people around. So I love that. Thank you
yeah.
for deferring that. So I honor you, but also I'm glad for your wife and this doctor and the team, Devin and the team, because you're right. Yeah. You're the face of it, right? Because of your roles.
Yeah.
But it takes amazing people to pull this off.
Yeah.
So before I get to the last question, let's do the which bears best. Come on. We've all been
Okay, well, you know what? We all know that black bear is best. But you know what? Shut the fuck up, because polar bears we're in a social good podcast. They're the ones that need the most help.
I love how you turned that.
You see?
That was a pivot.
You know
right
what I mean?
there.
So I went from Dwight into...
No brown bear. You went to Dwight into now like Rainn Wilson. Let's care about...
The polar bears, like the ice floes are all melting, and the polar bears are starving, and they need a lot of help. So
shut up, Jim.
If you're looking... Yeah, exactly. If you're looking for some way to make a difference, then go save the polar bears.
This last question is a hypothetical, but I love asking it, and it always throws people for a loop. Many years from now, you're going to die. We're all going to die, but you're going to die, and for some odd reason, I'm giving your eulogy.
Okay.
All of your fans, your friends, your family, all the people that care about you, all these people that you just mentioned that have collaborated with you, your wife, your family, they're all there, and I get to give your eulogy in 3 to 4 sentences. What do you want your legacy to be? What do you want me to say? What do you hope that I say on that day about your legacy? What's going to outlive you?
I think that's the most important question. I'm glad that you ask it, because it does frame everything that, man, I mean, here's another thing I think of is our life is such a damn miracle. Even if, and I use the word miracle very specifically. Now, if you're a person of faith, you believe it is a miracle of God that a creative force in the universe gave us the spark of consciousness and has given us this incredible gift of our life. But even if you don't believe in God, even if you just believe in, as people say, I don't believe in God, I believe in science. Like, okay, so even if you just believe in science, even so, it is an amazing miracle that we have consciousness, that out of all of these trillions and trillions of molecules out there and all these solar systems on this planet, this one species of animal has consciousness and can cry together and go to Radiohead concerts together and love one another and create beautiful works of art and culture and come together in beautiful ways, and we can witness all this with our senses and see, an ant running across a leaf, and like it's an incredible miracle. Faith or no faith, it is an incredible miracle. So it's an incredible gift. We get about we get a limited number of heartbeats, a limited number of times our lungs will pump, and limited number of times the Earth goes around the sun, and then it's over. So, yeah, I guess what I would want to say so that's the question is, this precious resource of life, our most precious resource. What do we do with it? And I do hope that people come together to say something like, he made a difference. He helped make the world a better place. He moved. Use a football analogy. Moved the ball down the field, an inch or two, and also hopefully made people laugh.
Love it. That's a good legacy.
Yeah, that wouldn't be so bad.
No, it wouldn't be bad at all.
Yeah.
Well, usually it's at this point that I ask guests to tell people where they can find you, but people, you just go look up Rainn Wilson.
You can find it.
SoulPancake, Lee Day, Haiti.
LeeDayHaiti.org.
Can people give? I mean, is that something people can donate to if they want to see?
Absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
we'll go there and
That's
donate.
Part of the thing of a nonprofit. Nonprofits are great, but man, fundraising is a bitch.
Yes.
And it's something I'm the main fundraiser for it, so I have to spend a good amount of my year kind of going around doing that kind of thing. So, but they can absolutely give.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for inviting us into your home. Thanks for doing this interview.
Thanks for having me. This was awesome. Good luck on your mission.
Thanks so much. Bye. That was good.